So after nearly 2.5 years of COVID exile in Texas, I couldn't tell you how excited I am to finally be back in one of my favorite places in the world, Paris. This is a truly beautiful city and is one of the best places on earth for the well-dressed gentleman. Quite different from London in some very unique and interesting ways. To celebrate this occasion, I thought it would be fun to have another gentleman's day out, this time with my good friend Julien De Luca, a preeminent Parisian bespoke tailoring house, Camps De Luca. So we're gonna meet up one of my favorite corners here in Paris and take a nice walk together. Julien.
Hi, Kirby. Hey. How are you?
So great to see you.
Nice to see you too.
So great to finally be back in Paris, and gosh, it's really hard to believe just how long it's been.
It has, yeah. I haven't seen you for a while.
You know, COVID's been a little bit of a time warp in many ways. Some ways it's slowed things down, in other ways it's kind of stretched it out, but it's great to be back.
It's even a better occasion to see you.
That's right.
Meet up and discuss everything that's changed in Paris.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, what's interesting is that, I've had the opportunity to travel back to London a few times, since it opened up in October. Being back in Paris has really reminded me how the style here in menswear really is subtly different than that of London. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of walk around, see some of the places that I've missed, seeing after so long.
I'll take you around and show you a little bit Paris.
Yeah, so here we are, Rue Marbeuf,
Indeed.
Champs-Élysées, and this is actually one of the most famous streets for menswear in Paris, right?
There's a few tailors. It's on Rue Marbeuf, not like in London where you have quite a lot on Savile Road.
Yeah.
But you have a few here, and I'll gladly show you around.
Yeah. Well, shall we?
Shall we? So Kirby, this is Rue Marbeuf, where you have quite a few brands here for bespoke tailoring and shoes. You have here Cifonelli. Across the street we have Berluti, and a little bit further up we have Smalto.
Smalto. Oh yes, okay. So I mean, Cifonelli and Berluti, two iconic kind of Parisian brands. One of the things I like about each of them is that in many ways they kind of helped in some ways reshape Parisian style.
Indeed,
right?
Yes.
For menswear. Cifonelli, being slightly more, how would you say it, adventurous in its tailoring with its Italian history.
Cifonelli is one of the last few family houses that still do bespoke in Paris.
Yeah, I think he and you are two of the only ones that exist now.
Indeed, yes. Not a few left in Paris.
Yeah.
And very proud of continuing the artwork and the savoir-faire here in Paris.
Yeah, and despite really being competitors, you and the Cifonellis, have quite a close and well-respected relationship.
We're good friends with Lorenzo and Massimo, so it's nice to...
Good respect for one another's
Indeed,
work.
Yes, that's the only way to do things. It's to be respectful, and we exchange on the artwork and the artisanship, which is important.
Absolutely. Over the last few years, has that become more difficult because so much of the bespoke process is relying upon skilled craftspeople.
Well, we've been, at least at Camps De Luca, we've been trying to really get the people to learn, and in the process of having youngsters to come into the craft, which is important to maintain the craft.
Yeah. So the style, the menswear style, the way that men dress in Paris is subtly but still significantly quite different than what you find in London.
Indeed, yes.
I myself, if I'm traveling to Paris and London, or should I say if I'm traveling to London in Paris, really pack two separate wardrobes. I've got my slightly more conservative wardrobe for London. I've got black shoes, darker suits, heavier fabrics. But then if I'm in Paris, I've got something like this, Dormé. I always bring brown shoes, which I never wear in London. How is this reflected in the tailoring style, though?
I think it is reflected as well into the structuring of the jackets we do here in Paris compared to London. And it's the halfway house between England and Italy in terms of style, in terms of structure, which is very important to really differentiate between the
houses.
the houses.
Yeah, interesting. And then of course, Berluti.
So here we're coming up to Berluti, one of the very famous French brands for shoe wares, which was started with Olga Berluti, which really introduced the patina on the shoes for men, and the design, which was very different to the English.
Berluti is incredibly iconic, and one of the things, just talking about kind of the difference and the subtle differences of Parisian style versus English style, if you can call English dressing style, right, is the footwear. It's much more adventurous. You see more men wearing loafers, you see men wearing loafers without socks, you see really aggressive and interesting patinas. Even something simple as just a brown pair of shoes, which I honestly would never wear in London, but here in Paris, I really can't imagine myself wearing black.
Because it's a little bit less formal, which allows you to, as well with the wardrobe, to have something a little bit more different and less conventional, shall we say.
Yeah, for sure. Where do you think that comes from? What's the history there? Has Paris always just
weather.
Been the weather? I guess it all goes back to the weather, right? Explains so much about the Italians.
Sure, very true. Much more colorful, much lighter in terms of structure as well, yes.
Yeah. One of the other interesting things about Berluti is we did a bespoke workshop tour. And so their bespoke workshop is literally just right across the street, I think on the second or third level. And again, all done right here on Rue Marbeuf.
Yes, indeed. And they have another very big...
special delivery.
Yes, they have a very big workshop as well, not too far from the Église de Trinité.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful place to go and see as well.
Yeah.
And that's where they do a lot of the bespoke as well.
Yeah. One of the things that strikes me is, in London, you've got the arcades, you've got Savile Row, you certainly have some really large and iconic tailoring houses and other kind of institutions. But in Paris, there's so much diversity. The number of small shops, like even what we have right here, I think in many ways eclipses that of even London.
Yeah, I think they're much bigger brands, and in Paris, I think they're much more smaller artisans, which are really trying to develop the craft in each of their fields.
Yeah,
which is very
absolutely. We see it in sunglasses, we see it in footwear. I think that, again, going back to footwear, not to talk too much about that, but subject near and dear to my heart, is, in London, of course, you've got, Gatiano and Girling, John Lobb, you've got Foster and Sons, and then Cleverly. Those are probably the big four. In Paris, I think there's even more bespoke shoemaking companies. You've got Philippe Tinza, you have Dimitri Gomez, you have John Lobb Paris, you've got Berluti,
Corthay,
and then there's even some other kind of smaller shops that I can't even think of.
Right? Very true, yes.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So walking up here, we have a few other brands that we should mention is Smalto, Zilli, and you have a shop here which says Atolini, Jacob Cohen, and Séraphin. Séraphin are very nice.
Yeah, they were just acquired by Hermes, weren't they?
They have, part of it has been acquired by Hermes. Part of it is still independent, but most of the atelier has been bought by Hermes to do all the leather jackets they have in Hermes.
Well, this is an interesting example of something that I found unique to shopping in Paris, is that this is a completely nondescript little store. Easy to walk by and think that just because it's 10 feet wide, it must not be very important. But you've got Ettalini, which is one of the highest of the Italian bespoke suit makers and ready to wear and made to measure, really made to measure more than anything else. You've got Jacob Cohen, which is doing denims, right?
Yes.
Really interesting denim. And then you've got Séraphin, which, as far as leather jackets are concerned, is the haute cuisine of the genre. And you'd walk by that 10 times and really not think anything of it.
Here we are coming up to the crossing of Rue Marbeuf and Rue François 1er, where you have Smalto, which is a historic brand Francesco Smalto started working in Paris at my grandfather's shop.
Oh, did he really?
And he set up shop here in Paris as well.
Yeah.
Just after the war, and he really was a great designer and a great tailor as well, based in Paris.
Yeah, it's interesting, the design influence. I mean, haute couture for women's wear, always being, of course, based here in Paris, couldn't help but have influence on menswear.
It's true, very true, because back in the 50s, my grandfather and a few other tailors in Paris actually did a haute couture défilé, and they were really presenting the new collections to the Parisian clientele, and really going through having 2 or 3 models each, and they would do a small catwalk.
Yeah, like in the salon.
Yes,
just like they
indeed.
did.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so, when did your grandfather set up the shop here?
Just after the war, he set up a Second World War. He came over from Italy and started in Paris. And after a few years, he joined Mr. Camps, which was another very famous Spanish-influenced tailor,
Really?
based in Paris.
Yeah. And then where does Camps De Luca get its kind of English influence from then? Because your grandfather being from Italy, and I could be completely misstating that, right?
No, it's actually because the French style was like this back in the 50s as well.
Yeah.
And therefore, it has always been like that.
Yeah. I mean, what's fascinating me about the evolution of French bespoke tailoring is that, as you said, it's kind of a middle house.
Yes.
You know, it really kind of exists as its own genre in many ways, influenced by the English, influenced by the Italians, but really independent of both those two, you know, very kind of strong, different poles.
Yeah. Well, we try to take the best of both worlds.
Best of both worlds, yeah. That's what you find here in Paris, for sure. Interesting. Yeah, so Smalto, you said, being slightly more kind of fashion forward and, you know, kind of design centric.
They still do haute couture and so bespoke, but they have a lot of as well ready to wear now, and they were still going on. So
Yeah,
it's good.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we want these firms to survive,
Yes.
to thrive.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Kirby Allison, and today's video was brought to you by KirbyAllison.com, where you'll find the largest collection of luxury garment care and luxury shoe care accessories in the world, as well as other great clothing accessories for the well-dressed, like this sovereign-grade necktie, pocket squares, braces, socks, and so much more. So if you enjoy the content that we film on this channel, make sure you visit KirbyAllison.com.
So here we have 2 very nice restaurants in Paris. You have Chez André, which is a very classical French restaurant, and bien sûr Le Relais de l'Entrecôte, which is one of those
That iconically Parisian restaurant.
steak frites.
Steak
Perfect.
frites, that's, yeah. With the green sauce,
Yes.
right? The peppercorn green sauce.
And you cannot reserve, so you have
right.
to queue.
You have to queue. And they only have one thing on the menu,
Yes.
which is steak frites,
Yes.
right? And I think it only comes one way, medium. So don't ask for medium rare or medium plus. They don't offer it. I was there. This is actually one of the first places I took my children whenever we came to Paris on this trip. They loved it. They loved all the waitresses. And they actually do have some really nice desserts as well. And then the second place we took them is Chez André, which the nice thing about this restaurant is they will allow you to book. And they have one of the most marvelous steak tartares.
Yes.
And then one of my favorite of all of the French desserts, which is the île flottante, the floating islands.
So here we continuing Rue Marbeuf, which is a street which is in between Champs-Élysées and Avenue Georges V.
Okay.
And here, just opposite us, we have Cercle de Lacre, which is a very famous French hair cutter.
From experience?
I know, because not much left. And then a little bit further up, we have the American church.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So this is interesting story. So after the birth of my first daughter, second child, Paloma,
Paloma,
the
like
child
mine.
whose name we share in common.
Yes.
This is where we spent Easter that year. So we were here in Paris for a month. and needed a place to go to Easter. And this is the one English-speaking church. So there we were, Easter here.
And so we have the Georges V a little bit further up, which has some very nice restaurants as well.
And that's the Four Seasons, right? The famous Four Seasons Hotel here in Paris. Yeah, well, let's go see it.
So one of the great things in Paris is the great hotels you have here in Paris.
Some of the best in the world.
Yes, and here's a good example. You have the Georges V, which has quite a few restaurants in here. You have one 3-star Michelin, and 2-star, 1-star Michelin, and they're very nice restaurants as well. So the dining in Paris as well.
So you can get 6 stars all in one day. Yes. The 1-star for breakfast, the 2-star for lunch, and the 3-star for dinner. Have you tried it yet?
I've tried all 3, but not on the same day.
Julien, you're letting me down here. But it's a beautiful hotel, and of course the Four Seasons. It's amongst kind of some of the finest. We've got the Bugari right here across the street, and this is kind of one of the famous avenues.
Indeed. Yeah.
Well, so here we are, Place Vendome.
Yes, and just a few meters from Place Vendome, you have a very famous house, Charvet, which I know you like very much. And
one of my favorite places in all the world. I feel like this is the kind of the mecca for menswear. Everyone should have a pilgrimage here.
To shirts and ties. Yes.
Yeah. But I think, their second floor salon, as we would say in America, first floor in French, is one of the most unique places in all of the world for bespoke shirting.
Huge collection of materials, which is incredible.
Yeah. I mean, what are they pushing, 150 years, I think?
Yes.
I mean, they all but invented the shirt.
The classic
shirt as we know it now.
Yes, very much.
I mean, Charvet was, if I'm correct, if I'm wrong, but they're the ones that kind of created the detachable and then turn down collars.
Indeed.
Yeah. So have you been in? I mean, are you familiar with?
Yes, very much. Yes, sometimes I buy my ties there because they are very particular. The shirts obviously is I make myself, but the ties, yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is
I know
one of the most unique places.
One of your kids, you made a shirt.
Yes, well, one of your kids I made a shirt for. So Charvet is amazing, of course. I mean, they have ready-to-wear on the first floor, so ties, pocket squares, shirts. They have a made-to-measure program.
Yes.
But on the second floor, the bespoke salon with the piles and piles of fabrics. I mean, entire bolts is unlike anything I've seen in the world. And whenever you go into order, as you well know, you're not flipping through swatch books, but you'll grab an entire bolt of fabric from which your exact length is cut before that bolt is then returned to the stack. It's really, really magnificent.
Should we grab a quick sandwich now?
Yeah, let's do that.
So we just grabbed a quick sandwich at Le Petit Vendome, which we make very nice sandwiches and easy to eat, and we can continue our journey throughout Paris.
Yeah, where to next then?
Now we go to Corthay.
Okay, brilliant. Corthay. I forget how close everything is here.
So here we are coming up to Corthay,
yes,
which
of
is
course.
another very famous French shoemaker.
And you own a few pairs of Corthays, don't you?
Yes, because we know Corthay.
Pierre, how are you?
From a while, and so he is as well one of the few French bespoke shoemaker.
Yeah.
And he makes ready-to-wear as well. So it's
very distinctly French, right? With the patina and the slightly more chiseled shapes and more adventurous models. Yeah. And their patina, they had 2 entrants into the 2021 World Championship of Patina that we had in London recently. And Toan, one of the Corthay guys, actually won. So maybe we'll get to see him today also.
That's
after you.
Merci. Salut Pierre.
Peter, how are you?
Hello, Kirby. How are you?
Bien, et
Nice
toi?
to meet you.
Well, nice to be back in Paris.
Ouais.
And here we are at Corthay, another iconic of the kind of Parisian brands.
Et donc, tu étais en train de faire quoi là?
Là, je suis en train juste de nettoyer une forme. In English, yeah, I'm just cleaning a shape for sneaker or casual shoes.
Okay.
So I'm just preparing the prototype just
Yeah,
for designing on it after preparing the prototype.
yeah. Congratulations. I mean, you had two of the finalists in the World Championship of Patina
Yeah.
at the Super Trunk Show in London, and Toan, who I think we might see later, actually won. So,
You have Sunny here now?
and Sonny as well.
Yeah.
So the two of the three. And then, so quite a testament to all the patina work that you've become so well known for.
And Paris with...
In Paris, yeah.
In general, yes.
So you're doing all of your work just right here, right off of the Place Vendome.
All the Bespoke is doing here. Yeah, it's making here. This space and the other space for the upper. And in the basement where our stock of glass and shoe machine, but everything is in here.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, it really speaks to that provenance of bespoke that, you know, the customer can see you in the showroom just right here. Glass making is done by you here as well with someone from the rest of the team. And then we've got your shoemakers hard at work. And then right across, you know, Toan or Sunny finishing it off with that iconic Corthay patina. Yeah. And you've got a few pairs of Corthay.
I have a few pairs, yes.
Which pairs? Like what type of styles?
Arca is the classic that I love.
And what's your patina of choice?
I have purple going on to the black, and I have a black one with the red piping as well,
Okay.
which I quite like wearing a lot.
There we go. So, I mean, we were talking earlier about how, you know, the style in Paris is so different from that in London. And you look at a house like Corthay, which really takes it to, you know, the highest level. But even someone like me that's I guess, significantly more conservative. I mean, in Paris, I would really only imagine wearing a pair of brown shoes. Whereas in London, you know, if I'm just going to London, I won't pack brown. So that's kind of part of the difference in style.
In style and in shape as well, as we were talking earlier.
Yeah. What's your, I mean, as a shoemaker, how do you see that difference?
You mean
The difference in style between, you know, French style, Parisian style, and British in London?
French style? It's probably a mix of both because what I can notice even in the past, the French shoemaker, they really dare something. The color and the model could be very Art Deco and could be very complicated. And I don't think you can find this in England or in Italy.
Yeah.
It's a really mix of both. We can have very sharp glass, very not too pointed but very sharp, and also round toes, off square toes, and it's a lot of influence.
Yeah. Well, in other ways, I mean, I often think that, you know, the British are so much about their rules that they never break.
Yeah.
So you've got your rules for classic menswear, for what a shoe
And the rule
should be.
breakers are in Paris.
And then French, you know, they don't mind breaking a few rules.
Yeah, we don't really care about it.
Yeah, I mean, come on. That's for the English.
Yeah, probably. But, you know, in fashion, the English could be totally crazy too.
Yeah.
As you see the punk movement.
Yes, yeah.
You know, the designer you can find in England are some totally crazy, but for the shoes,
Not so much.
not so much.
Goes back to this rule-breaking culture. I mean, in the establishment, it's very much about the rules, the hierarchy, the rigidity, and you see that reflected through the clothing. You know, on St. James's, I mean, dark suits, black shoes,
Is a uniform.
black or navy socks. That's all you see, and that's about it. Great. Well, it's nice to see you. You know, on a hot summer day here in Paris, and I think we're going to pop across and go see Toan
Yes.
and Sunny.
Okay,
Merci,
thank
Pierre.
you for your
Yeah,
visit.
yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Pierre.
Salut, Julien.
Au revoir. Bonjour, messieurs.
Gentlemen, how's everyone? Nice to see you. Toan, pleasure. Welcome. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Well, I've been so calm and peaceful in here.
Yes.
This is where the magic is happening.
Indeed, this is where they're doing the patina, and we have the podium of last year's patina.
That's right.
Yeah. So
We got the 2022 world champion in patina, Ton. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And then Sonny, of course, was there as well. I mean, Corthay really having a great showing, and of course, the patina is such a large part of what they're doing here.
yes, very much. So what are you actually doing right now?
Oh, I'm making a patina we call moss on this modern Charvet. Moss is between black and light green color. So we always do things that make everything look natural. The gradation is always as smooth as possible. Tuan in here is making a patina we call light ebony, exactly like the arca we are displaying here. And Benjamin is making the shoe shining on the new pair for the customer.
Great. So, I mean, really, every pair of shoes, even many of the ready-to-wear, come through your bespoke patina process. Is that right?
Yes, indeed. We start from scratch. Actually, we got the leather in the beginning which is very light brown. So we apply all the dye, as you can see in here. So for this patina, we apply the color we call olive. It's a mix of yellow and dark green to find this kind of color on the front. And then with the brushes, as you can see in here, we all make the gradations to make everything looks like aged for years.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, we were talking a little bit earlier about just kind of the differences in style with menswear between the French and the English. When it comes to bespoke suiting, it can be quite subtle. Now, it's obvious and prominent to a trained eye, but whenever it comes to footwear, I mean, in many ways, it's as loud as day.
Yeah, because the effects and the coloring they're trying to achieve is pretty incredible.
Yeah, but that distinction between French and English style, I think, in many ways, is most notable through the
patina,
footwear.
I think.
I mean, the patina, but even the shapes. I mean, on general, which are much pointier, elongated, sharper lines.
As we were talking earlier with Pierre, yes, I think it's really into the shape and to the work that goes into the shoes.
Yeah. Sonny, just kind of curious, I mean, what's your perspective on kind of the French and specifically the Corthay kind of perspective on footwear?
I think that we have a lot of room to grow as we are very, very, very small brand in this big world of footwear. Actually, we got a very, very small factory that only produces about 15 tons a day. I think that we succeed to bring the love of the people coming in here to explain what we do. And actually, this is not a common shoe store.
Yeah.
Actually, when you come in here, there's colors everywhere. We are obviously not in a common mind that people think what the shoe store should be. And somehow the most important thing we want in here, do you love what you see?
Yeah.
And this is a good start.
Yeah.
And if you love what you see and you love what you wear, it's complete. Well,
Yeah,
there's room for more.
That's the zenith. I mean, you look at this beautiful pair of shoes right here, and I mean, it's not something that I have in my wardrobe currently, but I look at this and I want to wear them.
Would you?
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Exactly.
I mean, especially with that nice shine. I mean, it's a gorgeous pair of shoes.
It's the frontier between what I should do or what I want to do.
That's right.
This is, what we should try and what we should try for everybody else.
Yeah.
And
It's a
sometimes
constant struggle.
Indeed, we will always struggle between ourselves and the image of ourselves that we want to show to other people.
Our ego and our alter ego. Well, gentlemen, a pleasure to see you in Paris.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Come back anytime.
Thank you. Paris is such a beautiful city. We are here now, Place Vendome.
Oh yes, the heart of Parisian luxury, right?
Indeed, yeah. They're only allowed to have jewelry around this Place Vendôme.
Okay. And has that kind of historically always been the case?
Yeah, I mean, it's since the Comité Vendôme, they decided that only jewelry should be on this square.
So that's actually kind of official.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Kirby Allison, and thank you for watching today's video. If you enjoy the content that we film here on this YouTube channel, one of the best ways that you can support our ability to film even more great content is by visiting KirbyAllison.com, where you'll find the largest collection of luxury garment care, luxury shoe care, and other great clothing accessories for the well-dressed. Also, we have a Patreon page where 100% of the proceeds from our Patreon go to our ability to travel in pursuit of this quality, craftsmanship, and tradition. So if you love the content, these are two great ways to support what you see here on youtube.com/KirbyAllison. So what is this right here, Julien?
So this is the colonne de la Place Vendôme, where at the top you have Napoleon.
Of course.
Yes.
It's the top of everything here.
And if we just go around the Place Vendôme, you have obviously the Ritz, and then a lot of the luxury houses that make jewelry. You have Graff, you have Cartier, Bulgari, Boucheron, Van Cleef. Just keep going around. You have Blancpain, Chanel, Gucci, Chaumet. And finishing over there with Patek and Dior and Breguet, and obviously the shop of Louis Vuitton, which is on the other side of the place.
Yeah, and this was under renovation for such a long time. I mean, a massive project to renovate the Ritz.
Yes.
This was under renovation to clean the column.
Yeah, and you have even the Ministry of Justice, and they have probably the best location for a minister to be at.
Right here. But it's beautiful now to have it all finally reopened.
Yeah, and you see all the nice architecture of the 18th century.
You know, the streets and the walking in Paris really is some of the most beautiful there is.
We're very, very lucky.
Yeah. So what's next? So we were off of Rue Marbeuf. We came back to the Place Vendôme. We saw Charvet with Petit Vendome for some sandwiches. We went to Corthay to see their shoes. Here we are back at the Place Vendôme. Where to next, just to kind of help keep me oriented?
And I think we'll just go down and on the left, go to Rue du Faubourg Saint-Honoré.
Okay, another exceptionally famous.
Indeed, and we'll see a few other houses that will be interesting.
A few minor houses. Yeah. And then we're off to your shop.
Yes, with pleasure.
Brilliant, let's go, shall we?
We are coming here around Rue Saint-Honoré, where you have a few other luxury brands like Louis Vuitton, Guerlain, Goyard, which you know
iconic trunk maker. One of my favorite of all the
yes,
French
and you have a nice
brands.
Collection, and I remember the book.
The book, yes,
you showed me, which was very nice.
I bought with my wife on our first trip to Paris.
Yes.
But
that's the first time we met, actually.
Yes, it was, actually.
15 years ago now?
15, long time.
12, yeah.
Hard to believe. We've come a long way, Julien. I'd say much better dressed than we were back then. Maybe not you, but certainly me. So it's amazing, you know, Goyard, Louis Vuitton, I mean, we're trunk manufacturers.
Yes.
You know, making
Originally.
trunks, you know, luggage for steamers.
Yeah.
And an incredible kind of history in provenance. It really speaks to kind of Paris as really being kind of a center of travel. And one of the things that I love about Goyard is, at least until the last 5 or 10 years, you could really only find it here in Paris.
Very much, yeah. It's, and they have their iconic design.
Yeah.
And very different than what you can find.
You know, if I had a limitless of means, I suppose, you know, I'd go crazy with the trunks, because there's just something to a trunk that really is, there's a romance to it.
But it's not easy nowadays to travel with a trunk.
No. It's more for look than anything else. I need a humidor. They do a trunk, right, that opens up and it's got all these drawers. It's a humidor. It's the most magnificent thing. Well, one of the most famous shopping. Paris has so many of these shopping streets, but
And here we are coming up to Moynat, which is another trunk maker.
Yeah.
This was bought maybe 10 years ago, I think, from Pinot.
yeah,
It's
it's
now
resurrected.
yes, a resurrection of the brand.
Yeah.
And they have their own particular style as well
Yeah.
of trunk making
So
and
similar
bags.
to Louboutin, to
Indeed.
Goyard.
Yeah.
Kind of a history in making trunks, but really more focused on the leather goods right now.
Yeah, and working a lot with the leather goods.
Yeah. Any other favorite shops here on the street?
There's a few down the road that we can see. I'll
Okay.
show you.
Well, the final stretch.
It is, yes. So we're here at Rue des Pyramides and we are arriving at our new shop, which is very tempting to show
Yeah.
you because it has been only open 2 years now.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, right before the pandemic you
Indeed,
opened,
yes.
right? It was a rush to get it open, and then everything locks down. Well, it's a big accomplishment to finally have a retail store.
Yeah, no, it's really nice and we're really happy with that. So.
And then what about the Bespoke? Is the Bespoke still down here?
So yes, we have the ground floor and the first floor where we do the bespoke.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to see it.
Please, after you. So here we are. This is our new space that we've opened up, and we're very happy.
Congratulations. Yeah, absolutely. Charles, hey,
Hi.
great to see you again.
Great to see you too.
It's nice to be back in Paris and see that you guys are as, looking younger, happier, healthier than, 2 years ago whenever I saw you guys.
And that's because he's becoming a father again.
Oh, congratulations. That's right.
Yeah.
So your first child you had right before COVID? It was like a year before?
The first one is 4 years old.
Okay.
And he's going to be 5. It's Antoine. And the next one just arrived 5 months ago.
Can't believe you're at work.
Yeah, it's hard.
Looking rested.
But I have 2 boys. Like this,
Yeah.
the future is coming.
Yeah, that's right. Someone's got to take over. His 2 girls, your 2 boys. So he's got all the work of training the next next generation to take over the family firm.
We're a good duo for that.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's a beautiful shop. And of course, in addition to still being the home of Camps De Luca, the bespoke tailoring house, you guys opened Atelier De Luca here on the ground floor. Is that right?
That's great. So here we are making made-to-measure suits with handwork, a lot of handwork, a little bit less than what we do for Camps De Luca, obviously, because the price range is very
Quite
different. And this is really interesting.
Yeah. Well, another interesting thing is also that, you and, well, both of you, Julien and Charles, right, who cut for Bespoke, are also the ones that are doing the Atelier De Luca. So you have that same eye and that same knowledge that is offered to the Bespoke clients, just at a more approachable price point.
Indeed, that's correct.
What is the price, if you don't mind me asking, of the
So
Atelier?
the price range starts at 2,500 euros.
Okay.
And then depending on the material, we go up to
up from
2,800, 3,000.
Yeah.
So that's the
And then Camps De Luca, that would be starting at what?
7,000 euros.
Yeah, 7. Yeah, that's what I thought. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And then you also have a very smart line of accessories. You've got socks, ties, some garment brushes from Kirby Allison, some
Indeed.
shoe horns.
Yeah, shoe horns as well.
Here in Paris.
Yeah.
So I'm very flattered and honored that you guys were
But
able
the
to.
usual horns are the best one because they are really tall.
Yeah.
So when you're making a fitting, it's pretty easy for the customers to use it. So congrats for that.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it's these small details that matter.
That's for sure.
And is it just suiting?
No, so we actually do other pieces that complement the wardrobe for the man. We do jackets, we make over jackets, we make teddies, we make in leather and in cloth as well. So we really have this approach of having a full range for the men's wardrobe.
Yeah. And is there a separate Instagram for this?
Yes, so this is still Atelier De Luca, so it's
Okay.
all under the same umbrella.
Okay.
When we saw each other last time, we were Rue La Paix, and this is when we bought Stock & Sons. And Stock & Sons now is dedicated to all the uniforms that we make for the French administration and for the Académie Française and other French states, and slowly developing as well for other countries.
Okay. Yeah. So kind of a traditional, uniform business almost. I mean, with incredible embroidery and handwork. I mean, to the likes that you'll never see in a bespoke suit just because it's not ornamented like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think we can now go upstairs and show you the space upstairs for the bespoke.
Okay. Great, Charles.
Take care.
Great seeing you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hope to see you soon. Bye.
So this is the shop on the first floor where we have the bespoke.
Yeah. Okay.
And we have Papa, which is here.
Monsieur De Luca.
How are
So
you?
nice to see you again.
Fine, fine. And you? How are you?
It's so great to be back in Paris after all this time.
Well, 2 years, 3 years.
Well, it's been 3 years. Almost 2.5.
You're welcome. So.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of. I have to say, I was a little nervous returning to Paris after such a long absence. I mean, it's been the longest, longest time having not visited Paris since
So you lost
high
your
school.
French.
So my French certainly has been a COVID casualty, but doing my best. I need to be drinking more champagne. Moral of the story.
We'll drink it.
We'll drink afterwards.
Yeah. So it's exciting to be here. I mean, Camps De Luca, of course, now is really one of the two most preeminent French tailoring houses. It's really Camps De Luca and Cifonelli.
That we saw this morning
That
together.
we saw this morning. Massimo and Lorenzo waving from the balcony at us.
So I just wanted to show you one of the jackets, for example, that we're making. And this is the first fitting, so you can see the inside of the jacket that we are making for the moment. And you can see we've started doing the pockets, and this is really a basic first fitting for a client.
And so you're using white basting thread, but here's yellow and red.
So yeah, this is to determine some of the croisure and some of the where we place the pockets. The white one is to hold actually it together for the moment.
Okay.
Before we finish the jacket.
Yeah.
And I can show you another jacket where we're working, which we finished actually.
Okay.
And you can see the details of the handwork
Yeah,
that we have inside. So this is much more of a summary.
Beautiful. This is what we should be wearing right now.
And yes, today it would have been a good day to wear this, and with the historical teardrop pocket that we make, and all the handwork that we do. Obviously, a little bit of structure of the chest here that we do, and the with the sleeve with the cigarette.
So how would you say that French tailoring or Camps De Luca differs from, say, a Savile Row bespoke tailoring house in its approach towards the handwork, the make? Because there are subtle differences between the two. I mean, they both create absolutely fantastic products, but there's a difference of you guys being here in Paris.
I think historically Paris, for the tailors, has been a lot more handwork and a lot more details into handwork. Because Paris is the high fashion for women as well, therefore we have the knowledge and the handwork that allowed for this to be much more precise, I would say, possibly than the English. And we kept a little bit of the structuring as we were discussing this morning, and the lightweight of the structuring for more towards like the Italian. But it's, as we were saying, it's a little bit of in between the two geographically and in terms of work inside for the structuring.
I mean, this teardrop is quite iconic, but even the Camps De Luca label is hand embroidered into the lining.
Yeah, but I think we receive influence in Paris from Italian tailor, Spanish tailor, especially for our house. Mr. Camps was Spanish and my father Italian. So they mixed a little what they learn in their country. And anyway, like they immigrate, they want to be stronger and to show more than the other one.
Yeah.
So they have to create something to be more
Different
Yeah.
and differentiations
Yeah.
and the other tailors.
Yeah. What about the house cut and style? I mean, if someone were to see you from across the street, you know, what are the first one or two things that they would initially notice that mark a Camps De Luca suit?
I think one of the things is the high armhole with the sleeve head that has been mounted. Our classic fish mouse lapel that
This
you can
right here.
clearly see on Dad and myself, which is one of the signatures of the Parisian tailors.
Okay.
In terms, we try and design an athletic figure with the structuring of the canvas, which gives a nice silhouette. And we break the vents, which is basically here at the back. There's a lot more work needed for the back to be flat.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I've got such a phenomenal amount of respect for your work.
Oh.
I mean, it's amongst the best in the world. I mean, really. And it's amazing to come in and see what you're working on, because there's always something absolutely beautiful. I mean, this being an example, the garments each of you gentlemen are wearing. It's difficult to feel well dressed, in the presence of such titans of tailoring.
Oh, no. I remember when I saw you the first time, it was on Place de la Madeleine,
Yes, okay.
and you opened the door, and I say, wow,
Snuck
it's
in.
very elegant, this man.
Well, very kind. It's it's a long time. I mean, it was whenever we first met, you guys were still at the Place Madeleine, and I still remember going to the party, the last hurrah, if you will. And I'd never seen in my life tailors have so much fun dancing the night away as we did that evening. And then you guys were at Rue Marbeuf, and then here we are in this absolutely beautiful new atelier.
Thank you. Thank you.
Of course, if someone is here in Paris, they can come see you here.
Definitely, we do the fittings, the measurements and everything.
Yeah.
And we travel around the world to see our clients. And I think in the autumn we'll be coming to the US.
Yeah, you keep on telling me you're going to come to Dallas.
I know.
Trying to pull you along. But you hit, you hit Singapore, much of Europe.
Yes.
Right. You're even going to the Dubai. You were there actually for a 24-hour trip over the weekend.
Yes, yesterday.
Yeah.
And we go to the Middle East and
Africa.
Africa.
Really?
So
Okay.
yeah, quite a bit. And we'll next September we'll try and go more often to the US.
Well, a true global tailor, right? Literally to the world's elite, the best dressed, and the most traveled. So, well, great. And I guess you have Instagram, right? For both Atelier De Luca, and then also for Camps De Luca.
Indeed.
And someone can message you guys through that. Yeah. Okay. Well, Marc,
Thank you.
Monsieur De Luca, thank you so much.
Thank you to you.
And thank you for lending us Julien for the day. We walked him, or should I say he walked us, clear around Paris. But what fun this was. So thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
But don't forget, you tell me that you are drinking champagne and to speak French.
Yes, well, let's start. I think we need the champagne.